It's time to get bold about our 2024 Red Sox. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and yesterday what we did is we tried to predict the overall roster for the Boston Red Sox. What are the lineups? What are the rotations? What's the bench going to look like? All that good stuff. But today's going to be a little bit different because this is the second part in this video, and in this one, we're giving our bold takes as to what the 2024 season is going to look like. That includes the Red Sox record. Will they make the playoffs? Overall performances, who's the best and worst on the team, MVP votes, all-star game appearances, all that great stuff that I'm sure you guys will agree with me on wholeheartedly. So that's what we're doing in today's video. But before we get into that, we are going to be live tonight on this channel right around 7 p.m. Eastern time, like we do basically every week. We're going to be going over a season preview for the 2024 Red Sox. We're also going to be talking about all the latest news, rumors, injury reports, extension conversations, and of course, it's as always a waiting room for Jordan Montgomery. So if you want to head in there, talk some Sox with everyone in Red Seat Nation, that is going to be tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time on this channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe as we're on our road to 10,000 subscribers. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so before we get to my really bold predictions for the 2024 Red Sox, let's start off nice and easy by going over who I think are going to be the best and worst player. For the best player, I think this one's sort of a cheat code, a bit of a cop-out, because as long as Rafael Devers on the team, you kind of have to say it's going to be Rafi, right? He's your $300 million player for a reason. He's a top 50 player in Major League Baseball for a reason, but specifically, the reason I'm saying it this year is because he made a hand adjustment with his stance that allows him to get quicker to the ball, and he's seeing those results pretty well in spring training. Now, obviously, spring training statistics don't really matter, but we have seen this type of hand adjustment before for Rafael Devers, and it ended up working out really well. So I think he does have a really fantastic, not comeback season because he was still solid last year, but regressing back towards what we saw when Rafi was really dominating in 2018 through 2021, and that's the Rafi I think we get in 24. Now, I think there is going to be one other person who challenges Rafi for the best overall player on the team, and I think that's going to be Triston Casas, but he's not quite there yet. As for the worst player on the team, I really hate doing this and saying that someone's going to be bad in 2024. Someone's not going to be as good as they were in 23. By worst player, I'm not saying they're going to be statistically miserable, a Kike-esque season, just a big regression from what we saw in 2023, but I think that's going to be Kenley Jansen. The reason for this is because Kenley already isn't happy with the direction of the team, right? He very publicly expressed that he was promised one thing by Heim and given something else by Craig Breslow. He's been in trade talks this entire season. He's already not fully healthy. Going into his age 36 season, I think we do start to see a big regression from Kenley Jansen, maybe even to the point where he ends up losing that closer role to someone else in this clubhouse. I could see that happening, and for that reason, I think Kenley ends up being the worst player on the Red Sox, at least in terms of regression from year to year. Okay, so now that we got the easy ones out of the way, right? Sort of the wading into the water a little bit. Let's dive into the deep end and get into sort of some rapid fire bold predictions that I have for the 2024 Red Sox. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rapid fire these predictions. There's no rhyme or reason here. These are just my overall bold predictions for the Boston Red Sox in 2024, starting at number 1, and that's with Trevor Story, because my prediction for Story is that he has a really big comeback season, possibly even winning AL Comeback Player of the Year, but statistically, I think he has 30 home runs, 20 stolen bases for a 30-20 season, and he ends up winning a Gold Glove. I don't think this is hyper unrealistic considering he's a right-handed pull hitter at Fenway Park. His defense is incredible, and he's always had that speed. But my really bold prediction for Trevor Story is that he ends up good enough to make an all-star team, but ends up losing out on that spot because of Bo Bichette, who is worse statistically in almost every single category outside of average, because he has the entirety of Toronto behind him, which will be absolutely hilarious when it eventually happens. The second one on this list here is that Triston Casas ends up hitting 35 plus home runs and cements himself as one of the game's best left-handed hitters. This is going to be a season where Triston Casas truly emerges as one of the game's top 50 players, and it's going to be in large part due to his offense, but he's also going to improve his defense as well to close to league average. The combination here in this prediction is that between him and Rafael Devers, they will have 60 plus home runs. I'll even say 65 plus home runs. Both of them receive MVP votes. Rafi closer to the top 10, Triston probably 11 or 12, and they really sort of cement themselves as one of the best left-handed duos in the game, as well as both making an all-star team. Number 3 on this list, I have Brayan Bello being the team's MVP. Now, this is different than the team's best player because this is the most valuable to the team's success. I think Trevor Story being in this lineup and being healthy, especially with what I just predicted, could also fit him in this category. But where the Red Sox rotation is set up right now, Brayan Bello is going to take a step forward and really sort of emerge as a true number 2 or number 3 or even a number 1 in Major League Baseball. And this is going to be the most important factor to the Red Sox success in 2024. So that's why I'm going to put him as team MVP. The 4th one on this list is that the Red Sox pitching staff is actually a bit better than they were last year overall. As a team last year, they had a 4.52 ERA. This year, I think it looks more like a 4.30 or a 4.25, which moves them closer to league average. I don't think they'll be a league average pitching staff, but I do think they'll end up getting closer than they were last year, in which they were a bottom 10 team. This, in my opinion, is mostly going to be due to an improved bullpen as well as better defense behind them. In terms of the Red Sox offense, I firmly believe that they will be a top 10 offense in baseball. They were 9th overall in the league last year with OPS at 748. I think this year they're right around that number, maybe even a bit higher, like a 754 OPS, which would put them in the top 7-ish in Major League Baseball. The 6th one on this list is that Tyler O'Neill will be the Red Sox X factor this season. There's not really a ton of expectations on Tyler O'Neill, and I think a large part of that is due to the fact that you have Jarren Duran, Ceddanne Rafaela, and Wilyer Abreu, who are all young and exciting prospects. People tend to forget about Tyler O'Neill, but I think he's going to have a Duvall-esque season for the Red Sox in 2024, where maybe he's not the best hitter on the team. Maybe he has stretches where he looks really bad, but when he's hot, he's one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball and becomes a huge factor in the Red Sox offensive success this year. My 7th bold prediction for the Red Sox has to do with Vaughn Grissom, and I think it's going to be eerily similar to what I said about Tyler O'Neill, but on a more consistent basis. My prediction here is that Vaughn Grissom takes a little bit to get back. We don't see him until maybe even the end of April, but once we do get him in this lineup, he starts to impress and surprise everybody. I think his contact ability is going to really shine through, especially from the offensive side of things, and he's an adequate second baseman. He's nothing crazy, he's nothing super special, but he can handle second base, maybe a slightly below league average potential, and he really sort of starts emerging here as a future significant piece for the Boston Red Sox. I think he starts the year in this lineup at the bottom of it in that 8th or 9th spot, but really quickly sort of becomes, hey, this is a guy that we need to put into the middle of this order. I really think Vaughn Grissom's going to be a huge impact on the Sox, and I think he ends up with an average of 280. I think it's close to 300, and I also don't think he strikes out a ton this year. My 8th prediction for the Red Sox is that Jarren Duran isn't as good as he was in 2023, and I know people are going to get upset by that, but what I mean by this is that he's not going to have that 120 plus OPS plus. He's not going to be, hey, this guy could receive MVP votes, but what he is going to be is a true contact leadoff guy. He's going to cement himself in this lineup as the leadoff hitter going forward for the Red Sox. I'm talking 40 stolen bases and leading the team in doubles with an OPS plus close to 115, like a 112 OPS plus. Again, not as good as he was last year, but I think he's more consistent at the plate overall throughout the entire season, and it ends up being a huge factor for the Red Sox offense. And my 9th prediction for the Red Sox going into 2024 is that both Kyle Teel and Roman Anthony make their debuts in this season. Kyle Teel, I think, comes up sometime in August due to injury. I think he progresses very quickly to AAA baseball this year, and I think we see him if whoever's backup catcher ends up going down. And then Roman Anthony, I think, ends up also getting quickly bumped up to AAA this year, but waits a little bit longer. They make sure that he's all set to go and then bring him up for his first taste of Major League Baseball in September. The reason I'm leaving Marcelo Meyer off this list is because I think in 2024, the Red Sox want to see just simply a fully healthy season from him, so they're going to ensure that he's able to do that in minor league baseball before they bring him up to the majors, and that's why I think Marcelo is going to be left off this list. And finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, my 10th prediction for the Red Sox is what their record's going to look like. I honestly think this Red Sox team is going to surprise a lot of people. I think Red Sox fans in particular think this team is going to be much worse than it is, in large part due to the fact that there were really high expectations to this offseason set by both the front office and ownership of this team that just flat out didn't get met, right? So the understanding is that, oh, this team is worse, and I don't necessarily believe that. I think this team has two factors that their success is fully riding on. First is their development of their young players. If their young players develop like they are supposed to develop, this team is going to be better than last year. However, obviously things can go the total opposite way, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to, right? I think most people are assuming just because it's all young and just because they're all still developing that nothing will go right, and that's not necessarily true. And then obviously the other factor here is the starting rotation, right? Lucas Giolito going down sends this rotation into a bit of a spiral a little bit, and we have absolutely no idea what we're going to get from this rotation. I think the floor for this rotation is really, really low, but the ceiling for this rotation is also really high. Houck looks a lot better than he did last year. Cutter has all those metrics that everyone loves. Pivetta looked really good at the end of the year. Bello's supposed to take that step up into the front end of this rotation. It could be really solid. It all just sort of depends on which way you want to look at it. Right now, the Red Sox have an over-under on the season total at 77.5 wins. I think that's too low, but I will say that because of Giolito going down and because of the moves the Red Sox did not make this offseason, like I said, their floor is really low. I could see them ending up at 75, 76 wins, but I can also see them ending up at 86, 87 wins if everything goes right. And because I'm an optimist, I'm going to put my season win total right now at 84 wins on that other side of things. Now, I understand that this might be a little bit crazy talk. I understand that people are going to go, Corbin, you're an idiot. You're just a blind, optimistic Red Sox fan. And maybe that's true, but when you look at everything and break it down, this team does have a ton of potential to, at the bare minimum, be better than people are expecting them to be. Obviously, 84 wins probably doesn't put them in a playoff spot, but what an 84 win pace would do is keep them competitive into the trade deadline, and then any additions made there could bump up that win total, right? If they don't fully crap out like they did in September last year, I think with additions at the deadline and hopefully developments by these young players, I could see 88, 89 wins, because all that would take, right, is staying that 84 win path while also getting hot for 2 weeks and winning 10 out of 11 games, and all of a sudden you're on an 88, 89 win pace, and that would put you in the playoffs. I really do think that is a possible end to the Red Sox season, but again, I do understand why some fans are saying this team's going to win 74, 75 games, because I really do think that's where this floor is at, and it all just sort of depends on if you're looking at this team glass half full or glass half empty. Again, this is going to solely depend on the development of young players and the overall performance of the Red Sox rotation. I think the bullpen, the defense, and the offense will be much better than it was last year, but that's, again, going to depend on these young players. So I'm sure you guys have disagreements on this video. Let me know in the comment section down below. What are your bold predictions? Do you think I'm an idiot? Do you think I have some thought behind these eyes? What are your thoughts on my bold predictions for the Red Sox 2024 season? I'm excited to hear how much you guys disagree with me in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button. Like I said, we are on the road to 10,000 subscribers. We're less than 200 away at this point, so help help us get there by hitting that subscribe button. Also, make sure you guys hit that like button on this video as well. It just helps these videos out a ton and would mean a lot to me. Don't forget, we are going to be live tonight on this channel, 7 p.m. Eastern time, breaking down the entire season as well as latest injury news like Rob Refsnyder and rumors about extensions like Triston Casas. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.